Hey guys, this is Brian back with River City Outdoors 85. I wanted to show you guys a project that I recently completed. This is related to catfish rods. I just dropped some videos on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram related to the subject of catfish rods, and I thought since I was recently working on a catfish rod project for my kids that I would make a video here and kind of show you guys what I've done. All three, well, my two boys, my oldest Hunter and my youngest Mason, and then my girlfriend's daughter, Lily, they all have the same catfish rods. Yes, my kids love to go catfishing with me, whether it's daytime or nighttime. I take them along for most of my fishing adventures whenever possible, and so they all have some regular fishing rods to catch bass and crappie and stuff with, but they all have their own catfish rods as well. Fishing is one of those things that we very much enjoy doing as a family together, and catfishing is no exception to that. We go during the daytime, sometimes early in the morning when the fish are biting, and then we stay out late at night and catch catfish in the nighttime too. And for times when we're doing that, having rods that are really well visible or really good and visible is a key factor to your nighttime catfishing. Whether you're fishing with lanterns or headlamps or UV lights like black lights or whatever the case may be. And of course, some of the rods in my personal catfish rod collection, are finished with a UV reactive paint, like my Hellcat rods, for instance. They have a green UV reactive paint, so when you're running black lights, they glow really brightly at nighttime. And my kids were interested in having some rods that glow really bright in the dark also, because kids don't want to be left out when it comes to that sort of thing. And so I was like, well, so I sat them down and talked to them, and I was like, hey, I can get some fluorescent paint, and I could do custom paint jobs on your catfish rods if you want. And then that way, because all three of your rods are the same rod, that way you'll know the difference between your rods, which for anybody who's got kids, they know, that helps alleviate a lot of arguments about, well, this one's mine and that one's yours, and so forth, And kids, especially at our children's ages, they like to have stuff that's, custom to them as well. That helps to bring out their personality and all of that thing. And so that's, great for kids to be able to do that. So I, as a parent and as basically a stepfather, I'm all about, helping my kids, bring out their personality and to do things that suits them best and all that. So in an attempt to do that, I did some custom paint work on their catfish rods. As you can see, they all have the same rod. These are 7-foot, one-piece ugly stick catfish rods. They're all medium heavy power and fast action. I believe they're fast action. They're either fast or moderate fast. I'd have to look on their website to be more specific. But anyway, to give you an idea here, they're all medium heavy power. They have a 15 to 30 pound line rating, and they'll handle 1.5 to 3 ounce lure or sinker weights. These, I've kind of mentioned these rods before. If you can catch these rods on sale, they're great rods. But if you have to pay the full asking price of $60, there are much better options out there. However, I got all these rods on sale at a good price. So for what I paid for them, they're a very good bargain. And for kids, ugly sticks are great because ugly sticks are very tough rods. They can handle a lot of abuse. And anybody who's fished with kids know fish with rods get set on the ground, they get stepped on by accident and all sorts of things like that. So buying rods that can handle that sort of thing, for kids, that's your best bet. So I'm going to go over kind of what I did here, show you guys the results. Excuse my mess in the garage here. I'm a little less organized than some people. So I took all 3 of these ugly stick catfish rods, and as you can see, I kind of have a supply list here. I used, blue painter's tape to what I masked off was, part of the handle, because I didn't want the handles to get painted by accident or anything like that. And then I masked off the white parts on the bottom of the rod. The reason I did that is because those stickers and stuff on these rods would have been very difficult to mask and sand and paint around without damaging them in some sort of way. So I wanted to leave that stuff intact, and it also adds, to me at least, a nice mixture with the paint schemes that we did, to have the bottom of the rod white, and it helps to maintain, a good deal of the visibility of the rod and the lower part of the blank as well. But I masked off the white portions. I masked off all of the, epoxy coated wraps that hold the line guides on all the way down the rods. And after masking all that stuff off, I used a combination of, just good basic sandpaper and steel wool to sand and polish the factory paint down some, so that there would be plenty of tooth to apply the new paint. And I let each of the kids pick out a color scheme that they wanted, and this is what they came up with. My little one, he's big into the Incredible Hulk, so he wanted, when he realized that I could do something like Hulk, he wanted purple and green interchanging, and that's what we did. And my oldest one, his favorite color is yellow, so he wanted more yellow than green, but he also wanted green because he really likes my green Hellcat rods. And then my girlfriend's daughter, she wanted pink and purple, but of course more pink than purple, so that's what I did with her rod as well. Now, on the very ends, for any of you who aren't familiar with this, from this section here to this section here on these rods, they all have a clear fiberglass tip on them. And that clear fiberglass tip can cause visibility issues at nighttime with lanterns or black lights or whatever. So I typically take all of my GX2 and standard ugly stick rods of any kind, any kind of ugly sticks that I've got. I typically sand and scuff that fiberglass, put a coat of primer on it, and paint it with something to make it more visible. Now on my GX2 rods that I use for light duty catfishing, I went from the second eye down all the way up, and sanded and used steel wool to finish it out and mask that stuff off, and mask off a portion of the out back. And I primed both of those sections and painted them with white. Well, it's a green glow in the dark paint, but when it's over white primer, it looks like white and nice, bright, pretty white in the daytime. But at nighttime, it glows in the dark. After once it's been exposed to a certain amount of light, you could shut all the lights off and they glow really brightly, I might add. And that's a spray paint, glow in the dark paint that you can buy at Walmart. I believe that's Rust-Oleum is what it is. Anyway, but rather than doing the glow in the dark, the kids wanted fluorescent colors. So I got fluorescent purple, yellow, green, and pink. And I went to work on the kids' catfish rods, and I did them how they wanted them to be done. So, of course, as I said, I used painter's tape to do the masking, steel wool, and sandpaper first, and then steel wool. And then I used rubbing alcohol and paper towels. Of course, I don't have paper towels sitting here, but, everybody's got paper towels. You can use blue shop towels. That's what I used. I've got some over here. But anyway, so after doing the sanding and the scuffing out with steel wool and stuff, and get everything prepared for the primer and paint and so forth, I wiped the dust off, with a dry towel and stuff, and then I soaked a towel for each one of them in rubbing alcohol. And if you're going to get rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol is great for cleaning, for degreasing and stuff like that. But if you're going to use it solely for the purpose of cleaning rather than, cleaning up wounds, scratches and abrasions on your body and stuff like that, for cleaning, 91% alcohol is better because it's got better cleaning and degreasing capability than, your 70% isopropyl alcohol. So that's what I use for projects like this. So anyways, I cleaned all that stuff up, masked it all off, and then of course as I stated, I used a primer on the tips that were clear fiberglass. Since there was paint and primer already on the rods, the sanding and scuffing I did on the remainder of it, I just painted over. After cleaning it up, I didn't bother doing a primer because it had plenty enough primer and enough tooth to get the fluorescent paint to stick. And so I did the primary colors first. So in the instance of this rod, there was, as you can see, there's more purple on this rod than there is green. So I masked off the sections that were going to be green, did the purple first, and then the same with the other two rods. I masked the green sections off on this rod and the purple sections off on that were going to be purple on that rod. Painted the primary colors first, and then after 24 hours, I unmasked the secondary sections and masked over the primary sections, and then painted the secondary colors. And then after everything had dried and cured, I unmasked everything, and that's the result that I ended up with. And so now I'm in here in the garage where I can shut the light out and turn the black light on and show you guys exactly what we ended up with. So I'm gonna fix this black light up real quick before I turn the lights out, so that hopefully everything doesn't go completely black. So I'm going to pull the light out and show you guys how these look, how they turned out after I did the painting on these rods for the kids. Okay, so as you can see, oh yeah, that works out good. So as you can see now, down the entire length of the rods, we have really awesome fluorescent colors that pop when we're running the black lights. You can see the purple, and you got to have the, see, if I back the light off just a little bit, you can see the actual green tone and the yellows and the purples and pinks and stuff like that. So that turned out, we'll give you a down the rod look. That turned out awesome. Got the exact results I was hoping for and expecting by doing this. Really happy with the way it turned out, and the kids they're absolutely thrilled about it. So that's a project complete, well done, and I'm very happy with the results and how that turned out. And by the way, for anybody, excuse me, I'm sorry. For anybody who's looking for some very good black lights in the event you're wanting some for nighttime catfishing, let me go over here and grab the other one right quick. These GPRK lights, I bought these from Amazon for right at $30 for both. They are 395 nanometers. They have multiple settings on them. They have a bright setting. They're supposed to run 5 hours continuously on the bright setting and 12 hours on the lower setting. They also have a strobe setting on them. Of course, you can use these for other applications other than nighttime catfishing. If you got Halloween decorations that are fluorescent or anything like that, obviously these are a great option for that as well. These are waterproof and shockproof. The cap that goes, they're also USB rechargeable. They come with, both of them come with their own charging cords and so forth. And that's your on and off switch. You can also use this thing like a power bank. As you see down there on the bottom, they have a USB outlet. So you can plug a USB into that and literally charge your phone off the battery supply on one of these lights. I'll pop that cap for you so you guys can see here also. They have a battery meter that will tell you, what your battery level is. So you have the battery meter light and your battery meter lights, and then the smaller USB port is for plugging into the light itself and charging it, and then the larger USB port is for charging something off of this, like a power bank. You can see the cap has a really good tight fitting O-ring seal that helps to make this waterproof. The button itself is that rubber coated stuff that's all waterproof and sealed up. They've got bumpers all the way around them for protection to make them shock proof. It's a top pick on Amazon, and I think for a very good reason. They seem to be excellent lights. They put out a lot of light. They got good distance on them as well. They broadcast very well. And if you are using them for nighttime catfishing, they're fantastic. Because, they have a completely adjustable kickstand deal on the back of them, so you can tilt them in any, angle you need. Or you could hang them up if you want to. They don't have magnets on them. Some of them do have magnets on them, but these don't. But there's a lot of ways that you could set these up and make them work for you, for whatever project you got. But so I guess that's kind of also a short little review of these lights. They work really well if you're looking for some good quality black lights for a very reasonable price, and check them out on Amazon. Like I said, they're right around $30 for the pair. And if you have Amazon Prime, of course, they ship for free. I got them, I think 2 days or 3 days or whatever after I ordered them, so that was really good. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys this recent catfish rod project that I did for the kids and how it turned out. If you guys like this sort of content, please give me a like and subscribe. I'm on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram at River City Outdoors 85. Be on the lookout for more videos, because I'm posting videos as often as I can make them and post them. So you guys have a great day and a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you.